You know, as we sit here and everybody's in front of the screen and thinking about we're at a virtual event where as many years we've been, whether it's been Orlando or Atlanta or someplace, we've been in person talking to each other about things that are going on, things, you know, your environments that you need. But in this case, you know, things have changed. You know, this virtual world, everybody's sitting here doing their event from, I don't know if it's your home office or if it's your bedroom or, you know, wherever you are. Maybe you're sitting by the pool. I don't even know. But things have changed quite a bit to where we're all remote. Every one of us in many of these cases. And what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is really how do we solve some of those challenges, some of those situations where all of us are dealing with how to address and how to build an environment that fits this model where we're all sitting in these locations. My name is Jeff Whitaker from NetApp. Here to talk to you a little bit more in detail about this. I brought along some of my friends from NetApp as well as Microsoft. So we've got Chuck Foley from NetApp that's going to talk a little bit about some things there, and Azim Manji from Microsoft, so as a cloud solution architect there, that'll get into some of the specifics of this remote scenario, this remote workforce, and how we're addressing some things. And then we'll jump into probably what you really want to hear, which is Scott Wright from our customer, Ferguson, will tell you what he's gone through, what some of the situations that he's been dealing with as we go into this environment. So I'll break it down into a couple of key discussion points. And, you know, towards the end, you know, think about some of the questions and scenarios that you have, and then we'll wrap you up. So how do we solve some of the remote work scenarios with Windows Virtual Desktop? And then really about building an environment that can scale. So going from, you know, maybe you have a small infrastructure for that virtual access, but being able to scale that environment to thousands and across the world. And then again, how did Ferguson address this? And then we'll wrap up from there. So to get started, I wanted to reach out, Azim. Maybe you can do a quick little introduction of yourself, and then talk about how Windows Virtual Desktop and building an architecture with the right services can help from the start with your customers.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. And you can hear me. I think I'm showing levels, but so yeah, my name is Azim Manji. I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft. And so most of my major would be around infrastructure. And I'd like to say that I minor in Windows Virtual Desktop and VDI and security and things like that. And so when COVID-19 hit, well, let me rewind a little bit, actually. So just to give you a little bit of background, I'm just kind of a classic IT guy, sort of lazy in the right ways, maybe also in the wrong ways. But when Azure NetApp Files was in its private preview, a gentleman named Dan Armistead kind of knocked on my door a couple times and told me, you know, there's this really cool toy that you should play with. It's called Azure NetApp Files. It's a really great way to, you know, provide storage in Azure in a couple different use cases. And he's like, just play with it. I'm going to put you in the preview. Just play with it. And so the timing was actually perfect because right around the same time, you know, Windows Virtual Desktop was coming into the public preview, and I was starting to kind of kick the tires on that particular toy as well. And I just kind of found that these two products kind of played really nicely together once I started looking at FS logics and how to abstract my user profiles away from the VDIs themselves. And so this NetApp thing, you know, offered me this Samba share that was joined to my domain natively, respected all my ACLs, and entirely hooked up to my VDIs entirely privately. And it was really just dead simple to set up. It was really easy. And so me being kind of lazy, I was like, you know, I kind of went into it expecting this 3 or 4 hour setup. And like, I was kind of dragging my feet, and Dan had knocked on my door a couple of times, like, hey, just give it a shot. And so I finally went ahead and just pulled the trigger, and expecting this 4 hour ordeal of building this POC, it only took me about 35, 40 minutes. And so I was really pleasantly surprised at how simple it was and how quickly I was able to kind of get rocking and rolling in my VDI POC. Fast forward to, you know, to when COVID-19 really kind of hit. I was given probably thousands of VDI VMs to deploy across many different customers, and we needed to deploy these Windows Virtual Desktops rapidly for a number of customers who were kind of responding to the new remote work scenario that we were all kind of facing in the Windows Virtual Desktop COVID-19 world. So I was able to leverage Azure NetApp Files to really rapidly deploy in comparison to like Azure Files, where it was just a little bit different. There was a little additional plumbing. It wasn't quite private the way the customers were expecting. And so NetApp Files allowed me to really rapidly kind of get these VDIs going and get my customer up and running in a remote work world without really having them expose like VPN to their users on like a layer 4 or layer 3 networking perspective. And the users had a really great experience because the VDI was so fast, because all of that disk I/O is sort of being offshored to that NetApp. The IT people were really happy because it was dead simple and it was really easy to set up, easy to manage, and actually pretty secure because it was joined to their domain. And so all around, it just made for this really great ecosystem of components to deliver VDI for my customers and who were very happy and very successful. And so that's kind of the scenario that I was faced this year, and NetApp made my life and everyone around our lives a lot easier, given the scenario that we were dealing with. So we were all very, very satisfied with that.
Awesome, thanks, Azim. One thing I wanted to ask you there is when it came to the deployment model, and as you started to use the Azure NetApp Files environment underneath the WVD architecture. One of the things that we had seen is from customers is the deployment. One of the struggles that they often run into is user experience. And when it comes to user experience, we all know that if the user's not happy with your environment, no one's going to be using it. So how did the user experience change, or from the IT side as well as the end user themselves? When you started building an environment with the Azure NetApp Files as the underlying component to it?
Yeah, that's a great point. So the user experience didn't change too much from Windows 10, which was really great for them because once they signed into their first VDI and their user profile sort of set itself up, their experience was consistent across all VMs in the pool because of the way Windows Virtual Desktop can be structured in a pooled environment. As a user, I can land on any VM. And so the fact that NetApp was there to sort of deliver the user profile to any of those VMs, they had a consistent experience. So for the users, having a consistent experience was very positive. IT was having a great experience because they weren't getting lots of complaints from the users. And so IT being my customer was very happy as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Perfect. One other thing there is, kind of getting into the IT side of this is, with Azure NetApp Files, there's some availability scenarios that really impact the deployment architecture. Can you talk a little bit about how kind of more resilient environment, when customers are deploying these, how they achieve some of those with Azure NetApp Files under the covers versus another service?
Yeah, so I had a lot of customers comparing, kind of rolling their own Windows shares instead. And, not only from a cost perspective, we kind of compared what does this mean to run an IaaS versus the NetApp, but also from an availability perspective. To achieve the amount of availability the NetApp just came with, we had to deploy a number of VMs in a very particular way, and that cost went up, but also the complexity went up. And so when you think about the complexity, there's sort of a cost with that as well. And so all up, when I sort of showed my customers the different options, whether it was Azure Files, kind of doing your own thing in IaaS, which a lot of customers are pretty comfortable with, or spinning up this NetApp pretty rapidly, it was almost like they always chose the NetApp because it was just so simple. The costs were pretty compelling, and it was already available because it's a service, right? So it's not VMs you're babysitting. You don't have to patch the underlying architecture. NetApp provides these storage shares on private IPs, and that's all you really have to worry about. What's on those shares and the permissions to those shares, which is really all people in IT and the customers really care about.
Awesome. Thanks, Azim. Appreciate it. So I want to jump over to Chuck here. And, Azim brought up a good point around complexity. So, Chuck, there's a number of things that we're doing at NetApp to really jump into that complexity piece of it, to simplify the experience and really drive scale with the deployments. And so could you tell me a little bit about what NetApp is doing to help with that, effectively, that complexity?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you not only about what we're doing, but about what we're learning from our customers. And I think there's two really key things that hit that theme you just mentioned. One is that the whole VDI experience and WVD is moving from kind of a tier 2 second class type of support in the enterprise to a tier 1 offering. I mean, think about it. The last few years, VDI has been used as a fallback for new employees that don't have a laptop yet, or your laptop is broken, or you're an executive who's traveling and you don't want to take your expensive laptop on vacation where it can fall into a pool or get stolen off of a plane. But you look at the advancements that have been made, and especially cloud infrastructure technology and what Microsoft has done with WVD, for example, and you combine that with the socioeconomic impact that we've had over the last 6 months, unfortunately, and we have so many customers that are saying, I need to make this a tier 1 offering. I need to make this the way that I deploy end user compute in my enterprise, which means it goes from having tens or hundreds to having hundreds or thousands of VDI sessions that I need to deploy. That's the first one. The second point is they're learning, as you mentioned, complexity. It's kind of hard. ESG just did a report and said that 93% of VDI users in the last year have been forced to use third parties, to pay third parties to set up, deploy, and manage their virtual desktop infrastructure because it has a lot of stuff. Think about it. The average end user support guy for the last few years has known really a couple of key areas, which is Windows and x86. And now we're layering on top of that. You have to know the VDI infrastructure and tools. You have to know the cloud infrastructure and tools. So it's hard. And the kind of things that you need to do to spin up an at-scale enterprise environment, from doing your prep and setting up your AD and your domains and your GPOs and your network setup with gateways and brokers and the DNS servers. And then we talked about file services and the volumes and the routing and the RDS setup and RDS numbers and thin print and load balancers and security with multi-factor authentication and creating images and different images for different users. Look, guys, that's hard. And that's day one. How about managing on an ongoing basis where you have all the user questions in a VDI environment that you might not have in really a traditional $2,000 brick environment of, oh, I got to reset your password and unlock your locked accounts. I got to be checking and killing processes and spinning up and spinning down other VMs and attaching them. I got to manage my WVD users. And now since we're VDI, I got third parties and consultants asking for temporary access. I got to communicate with them. I got different images. I got to make it available. And I got 47 applications in my application stack. And which ones to change? I put it in a new .NET release. These are the problems that our customers are facing. So as a result of that, NetApp has made some really serious investments in this whole area. Azim spoke about Azure NetApp Files, a scalable, incredibly high performance, and incredibly secure storage layer to handle all of that consolidated end user data, either their user data, like in their FSLogix containers, or shared files. But now you have to do the rest of it, which is that environment. So we announced something earlier this year called Virtual Desktop Service. Virtual Desktop Service is an example of how users are being forced to deal with the scale of virtual desktops these days. It is a SaaS service that you tap into, and through this easy access, you can tell it what you want done, and it will do it for you. It will use algorithms and machine logic to provision and deploy virtual desktop environments. Your networks, it'll set up your Azure NetApp Files instance. It'll set up the tiering and the volumes and the pools. It will create an Azure AD for you if you don't already have one. And if you do have an on-prem, it will connect the Azure AD required instance with the on-prem instance according to your policies. It will set up all of the virtual machine resources that are needed, not only your session hosts, but your infrastructure hosts for gateways and brokers and stuff like that. And in every WVD environment, we connect natively and directly to the Azure Management Blade. And then on an ongoing basis, it manages all that. It ensures that the right users, according to their GPO and their role, are accessing the right machine types with the right application stacks, and that they're kept in sync. It'll also make sure that you're getting the most out of your cloud spend. So for example, it can be a huge waste to have 1,000 users sign on in the morning and forget to sign off, and you're paying for VMs spinning all night with nobody doing anything. So on a policy basis, you can have machines that go unused be spun down. Or your company may have made the decision that we like a machine like the DSV3 for 10 users of normal activity. Well, okay, then you can have that VM spun up and the first 10 users will go on a single VM. That's a good investment. And when you get to number 11, then 11 through 20 go on the next machine and 21 through 30 go on the next machine. But what happens through the day as they start signing off? And you're left with these machines with some with 2 users, 4 users, 8 users. VDS will help you as people sign off and other people sign on to consolidate into the smallest number of active session hosts. And that way, you're saving a tremendous amount of money on your infrastructure. On average, we can save about half of the infrastructure cost. That can be put back into using the cloud more wisely. So if you look at what can be saved from a VDS environment, if you look at a typical WVD user with 500 users, maybe spread in regions around the world, even different subscriptions, VDS can deploy it and manage it from a single pane of glass. It can make sure that you as a VDI administrator can enable a 100-user workspace in the UK for your UK offices in 3 minutes. You can then come over and create a 500-user workspace in the US in about 5 minutes. Now, Azure needs to do its job to spin up all the resources, but you as a VDI admin, you're done. VDS is like having an assistant VDI admin in the cloud that does all that management work for you. And on a 3-year basis, it will save the average 500-user WVD environment about $500,000 in OpEx. That's what we're doing to help not only address the complexity, but the perceived cost of moving to this really powerful, scalable model.
Awesome. Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate that. So let's take this and what Azim had said as well as what Chuck had said, and then kind of move into the next. And wanted to talk with you, Scott, about your environment. So could you start us off a little bit and tell us a little bit about Ferguson and really the business need that drove you to Azure and to Windows Virtual Desktop?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. So Ferguson Enterprises is the world's largest HVAC, plumbing, lighting supplier. We've got many subsidiaries as well, like Ferguson Waterworks, Wolseley Industrial Group, Build.com, Supply.com, PowerEquipmentDirect.com. So we have a large, base across the United States as well as into Canada, 1,400 locations, 26,000 employees, all throughout that landscape. And we really looked at how we can change the way that we're doing business, not only from a capability of our associates at the branches, right, from going basically from bricks to clicks, as I like to call it, and how we can also change what our corporate users are doing every day within our HQ facilities here in Newport News, Virginia. So with that said, right, we had an existing VDI solution, but we were given a mandate about 2.5 years ago to start making the move to the cloud. So we quickly started looking at things like Azure and AWS and GCP and so on, and ultimately wound up choosing Azure as one of our primary cloud providers. With that said, the VDI solutions that we had on-prem, we wanted to be able to scale those out. So as Azim referenced earlier and Chuck referenced earlier, we were given a lot of capabilities with WVD. We started our journey with WVD very early on in private preview. We looked at things like Azure NetApp files, how we could, basically pool those users into a collective group of pooled systems, as well as personal or dedicated systems in those pools as well. We quickly grew that out, right, and looked at, the solutions like FS Logics, how we can do things like reserved instances, and kind of carry that forward on our journey. And looking at those 1,000+ users that needed to be off of the existing VDI solution and the data that needed to be moved as well.
Oh, perfect. Thanks. So tell me a little bit about the environment itself. So as you planned for your WVD deployment and you started seeing what you wanted to use there, and as you said, what was coming over from the on-prem side, what were some of the challenges that you faced in that process?
Yeah, so some of the challenges were, simplistically, we wanted to look at, how can we, crawl, walk, run, right? We wanted to start small, work big. So we looked at some of our existing groups and teams that were already utilizing our on-prem NetApp solution that we had, accessing that data every day through either their systems that they have at their desktop or the existing VDI solution, and how we can get that data across. So we looked at our finance group. They're already distributed across the country. Some of them sit in their homes, some of them sit in our corporate facilities today. And we looked at how we can centralize not only that presentation layer with WVD, but also that data layer, and then drive the ultimate solution and the ultimate package for them. So what we did is we started, migrating their data in a test bed and gave them some WVD access systems in a pooled group, set up FS logic so that way their profiles would exist, give them that quick access, that quick log on and capability, early on. And then as we did that, everybody was able to access their data, their systems, their email, their applications, and then we started layering on top of that some additional applications like our existing Trilogy ERP system, and grew from there. And the results became basically, almost like, how do we take this one step further? Where do we go with it, and what do we use it to drive, not only as COVID hit, as Azim kind of mentioned earlier, and that really kind of forced us almost to drive to the next layer of, we've got to build systems immediately and force almost 14,000 employees to work from home in the course of a weekend. Windows Virtual Desktop from Microsoft and Azure NetApp Files as a PaaS, right, gave us that possibility. It gave us the ability to do that, and that's basically what happened. We started out small and we worked all the way to big, but we were forced to kind of work into that large enterprise deployment of VDI via WVD in that scenario.
Thanks. It's amazing some of the things and the hoops that we had to jump through in that time frame to make business continue, right? So as you looked at, you mentioned Azure NetApp Files as a piece under the covers there that you utilized. How did it really solve some of the challenges, and what results did you get out of that?
So some of the challenges we faced as we early on were looking at how we can utilize WVD were, how do we get users to be able to access their systems as well as their files and control that NTFS file permissions, profiles, access, those capabilities as we did on-prem, right? We wanted to ultimately create a solution that our existing on-prem administrators could administer in the cloud and really become seamless, right? And that's really what it became. It became a seamless integration across on-prem into our existing WVD and Azure solution with Azure NetApp Files. So, that ability to lift and shift was a big part of it, right? We looked at Cloud Sync and how we get that data up there for our finance users early on, and then additional groups kind of came on after the fact, and we started, migrating that data, but addressing those solutions from a ANF WVD capability for, permissioning, setting up those volumes, and giving those users the access that they needed.
All right, thanks, Scott. So appreciate that. Appreciate the story. Appreciate you being a customer, as always. I wanted to take this moment as well from here and jump into I think we have a little bit of time to talk about a couple of questions that we've seen. So I'm going to start off with you, Chuck. You brought up a topic there that looks like it triggered an on-prem question. So one of it was, how does let me look here. How does VDS support management of your on-prem VDI as well as the Azure side of things? Can you do both from that standpoint?
Yeah, one of the great advantages of VDS is that you have a single sign-on that allows you to see, access, and manage virtual desktop environments literally anywhere in the world, different subscriptions, doesn't matter if they're in the cloud or on-prem. And that's really important because remember I talked about how VDI is moving from a second class to a first class citizen. Most of the customers we're talking to, look at the industry numbers, the mass of VDI instances right now over the last few years are on-prem. The cloud is much newer. Now, VDI in terms of on-prem is kind of flat growth projected over the next 3 years, but the cloud's growing at 44% per year compound. People are buying into this WVD value proposition and want to take advantage of it, but they can't leave behind the 100 or 200 users they had before as they create 2,000 in the cloud. The great thing about Virtual Desktop Service is you can have visibility and access and management of your existing on-prem. So you have single set of policies and controls in terms of GPOs and user types, et cetera. Images, Windows images, and application stack. You can manage all of that. And then very simply and easily migrate those users to the cloud whenever you want. You could literally have an environment where you've got a couple of hundred users that have been using an on-prem system. Now you want to create a bigger environment in the cloud. Those users come to work on Friday. They're accessing their on-premise system just as they have for years. When they come in on Monday and sign on, they're seeing their same desktop, their same data, all their same resources. They don't need to know, but now they're running on WVD and Azure, and a world of opportunity has opened up for the enterprise.
All right, thanks, Chuck. Appreciate that. So one more, to jump back to you, Scott. You talked about what drove you, what got you started with running some of the virtual desktop, and then how COVID really accelerated that. What are you looking now? Like, what are you looking to move to the environment now that you're already there? You've got some experience under this. Which direction are you going with this?
So it's really, we're looking at, what's the art of the possibility, right, or the possible for the next go round of WVD and Azure NetApp files. And some of that is, the mandate of, migrating out of our data centers and pushing everything to the cloud. So with that, I mean, there's a ton of possibilities, and some of those are, things like Cloud Sync and how we get that data up there. Simplifying, the access and the management, right, which has already been done in Azure NetApp files and WVD through that PaaS-based solution. But beyond that, right, it's things like mergers and acquisitions. You guys kind of alluded to earlier, how do we, get computers out to people that, don't have computers, or they won't have them in time by the time they start with the organization. So mergers and acquisitions is a great way to utilize WVD and then migrate files up there, through ANF. Also looking at, onboarding our new employees, storage for our AKS environments, third-party developer access, whether they sit in the country or, maybe over in India, outside the country, looking at GPUs on WVD for some of our large CAD-based systems like PlanSwift, our DFS migration out of our existing DFS solutions that we have in approximately about 60 branches. How do we get that data centralized? How do we get it migrated into Azure? And then how do we also replicate it, right, and sync it up across regions with, cross-region replication? And then, the existing on-prem NetApp data and migrating out of our data centers. So, the one thing that's been great about all of it is that it's really a true partnership between, me being the customer, but more so Microsoft and NetApp. When I, need to either get support, have questions, it's a true cohesive unit or a team, a group of people that are there to assist me in that journey. And that's been beneficial across the board.
All right, thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. All right, so do you want to wrap this one up? Just make sure that everybody understands, what we're talking about here is really solving that remote work challenge. Building environments, building your Windows virtual desktop environment on Azure, but with Azure NetApp files is the underlying piece. Really to meet that user experience, the piece there, as well as going after and addressing the availability requirements and that resiliency piece when it comes to the actual deployment. So you're not concerned about downtime. You're not concerned about losing your infrastructure and impacting thousands of users. And then on top of that, it's really that scale piece of it, reaching thousands of users with ease. Doing it from the standpoint of the Windows Virtual Desktop service that NetApp offers to make a simple control plane to automate and scale your environment. One of the things that I want to say as we wrap this up is we do have an environment. You'll see a QR code here. After we're done with this one, you can come over and talk to some of our experts. Ask us some questions. We can help answer some of your specific environments. And in the process, you can register to win a prize. We're actually giving away a $10,000 content creation package, professional camera, all these different pieces so that, if you want to expand your social profile or whatever it is, or you just want to take pictures, right? It's we've got this one out there for you, but come over, ask us some questions, and let us help you try to solve some of those and win some prizes in the process. Again, thank you guys for joining today. I appreciate all your time and look forward to the opportunity to talk again.